welcome to the Book Over, a little book club where we talk about books, especially the ones that give us book hangovers. I'm Sarah, with me is Megan.
Hello, everybody.
And today we are talking about Devious Lies by Parker S Huntington. I said when we did our Darling Benham book chat that I did not read this. I started it and then I fell asleep and I didn't continue it. And now I fall asleep all the time reading, and that means nothing. But I decided to pick it up because everyone was recommending this book, and Megan read it, and other people's read it, obviously, and they're like, "This is like the best book." And so,
good.
I'm like, I'm reading this thing, and I get to the part where I fall asleep, which is literally like page like 2 or 3, and I'm like, I get it because there's so much introduction going on with things. I'm like, okay, I get why I probably late at night done this. And then literally the next page, like all this stuff happens. I'm like, if only I read the next page, I would have been hooked and have read this like years ago. I don't even remember when this book came out, but like, I was just like, I text Megan, I was so upset. I was like, I should have read this.
You're like, why didn't I read?
Because I've read Asher Black. I forgot that. I've read Asher Black twice. I know I've reread it. I like that book. So I think now I just have to just read these books right when they come out, so I don't regret it.
Exactly. Well, and the funny thing is, when you texted me, like when you said like how like it was like you were addicted, and I think it was like late at night, and you like couldn't sleep, couldn't go to sleep now, like it was keeping you up, and you were still like it was still pretty early on, like you hadn't hit when they were fully adults yet. You were at the scene with like Nash where it's like she thought it was Reed's room, and I was like, oh, we're just getting started, like you're addicted now.
This book, just one more chapter to me, so much where I just that literally was what I was saying. I would like finish a chapter and go like, just one more, just one. That scene was so good. I loved
it. Was so good.
That, like, I love how Emery thinks that she's in love with her best friend Reed, but it's really they're just best friends.
Yep.
And I love that they stayed friends, and then I love that Nash felt protective of Emery, and then
like he was always drawn to her, but like he was a good guy. The age difference. Yeah.
Love that he, starts off like the how it starts off with everyone thinking that Nash is this like one, the bad boy. He gets in fight, does this, and then as the story goes, you find out why he's doing what he's doing and how much he actually cares. But he even sees himself though as like a no good person, like the whole penance thing and everything. I was just like,
and what is it, Sisyphus, and the god that he is always comparing, the one rolling it up the hill. Yes. So
and I love how they're always debating on what that meaning is, and like, and
oh, I love that. It's the writing is just so good with that. I mean, their text, I love that even when they're enemies, they were texting each other and not knowing it.
Yeah,
so it made it all the better,
and they clicked on all those levels.
Because it shows you what can happen if you can take all that away, that they are the perfect match, if you can take all the outside noise away. So that was cool. Like, and I think that's good with the enemies to lovers trope. I thought this was like enemies to lovers done perfectly, because sometimes it can be hard to read. It wasn't hard to read this. Right at like, I always hope around the 50% mark something changes, and right at 50% my like wishes were fulfilled, and like the the miscommunication. That's the thing. Again, this is a great example of miscommunication trope done in a way that is makes sense and doesn't like drive you nuts. It's like I was all for it, and then it like resolved itself. We got enough of them in a relationship in the book. It wasn't all just like fighting, one scene epilogue. It was like we got a relation. You know what I'm saying? We got this was a full book.
Well, and the whole development of it, and then the intertwined with backstory.
Oh yes,
it was just like, and then there's like certain times where I'm like, Emery, how did you not? And then also Nash, how did you not but then you like hear stuff and you go, okay, I get it though. Like you overheard this sentence and you're
Mm-hmm.
thinking this, so you're assuming this. She sees this, so she's assuming this. Like you totally
Mm-hmm.
get like that. Like one, like there's, all different sides of the story, right? And it's like you're
Yeah.
thinking like, okay, I see how you thought that. I see how this came about. Like, and then when it all like clicks together for them, it was just such a good journey. It was just so
It was.
good. I can't even think because like honestly, all I'm thinking about right now when I'm talking about is the notes.
The
The
notes were
notes.
so great.
I
They
love the
were so
notes
great.
from high school, the lunch
Mm-hmm.
notes, like
Yeah.
all those
So
little
cute.
that she saved them and like
Mm-hmm.
um like just the little things he did too. Like I forgot what it was.
Mhm. He just wanted her to eat so much. And then once he
Yeah.
finally wrote the note and made her a sandwich, then she would like stop being stubborn and she would eat.
Yes.
That was so
I
cute.
love
And
how he was
I just,
trying so hard. He's so like rich,
mhm.
millionaire guy, and he's like, "Here, have this extravagant this and have this," and she's like, no," and she was so stubborn.
But it didn't bother me because it made sense. Like she even justified it to us. And I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense. Like I get where she's coming from. I mean,
Yeah,
I love the fact that she, independence for both of them, even though she didn't do anything wrong, was just such a strong theme. She's like living in this closet at her work, trying to make her own way. She won't take money. She loves her dad, the only one that's been good to her, but like even she thinks he, did it, and her mom's terrible.
ugh,
And like
horrible woman.
so and you're thinking dinner and you're thinking even Nash, you're like if you're like, oh, once Nash finds out, once he finds out, and then he does find out, like before she finds out his stuff, he finds out. And I loved that. Like I love that he was like, oh, I messed up. And he like tries to, you
Right
know,
when that stuff
yeah.
starts clicking to him, and then
Mhm.
yeah, how he didn't find out right away. I think about the closet, right? He found out about the food first, and then
He
the
found out about the
closet.
food and like her that she was poor. Like, and I like that that wasn't dragged out. Like because if you have like a private investigator on tap, you would think, well, why wouldn't he find this out? So he does find it out. Like even when his private investigator at first was trying to protect her.
Mm.
And I really like his friendship with the oh my gosh, the lawyer. What's her? Oh my gosh, the lawyer who I think might be getting her own. I think she's supposed to get a book from what I
It's on
saw
the
on the
list.
website.
Yeah, it's on the
Like
website list. That and Read.
that,
I can't wait for
yes.
the story because
Like
his fiance, I think she has like a twin or something. Sorry, guys, we're going on. I think
yeah.
she has a twin or something, right? Because like at the epilogue, she was saying, Emery was saying that Reed and his wife, and it was so weird seeing, oh,
But
what's
he also said
face?
Basil. Like he works with
Basil.
Basil, but then he used the word what I agree. There was the wording there was interesting.
It was
And
weird to
then
see Basil's face smiling at me, and that's why I think Basil has twin, and that's why he was doing some of the things he was doing actually to protect the twin.
that would be something. That would be interesting because it does say on the website. We're so deep diving
It
here.
says
It
Reed
says
and Mr.
like mystery. So you're like, wait, what does this
I
mean? Oh my god.
because they
Put
did
him.
this. Like when Nash visited him on that party island, and he was
Yeah, oh, I love that
he's
scene.
in it, and I'm like, no wonder he was doing like substances and stuff. Like he's dealing with a lot of shit, but they wouldn't tell us. So it's just left out. Like we had this good conversation, and I'm like, well, but. And I'm looking at the percentage in the book. I'm like, this isn't enough time to fix that. What is that?
It was enough for us to be cool with their relationship with the end of the book, but
Yes,
to entice us
yes.
for Reed's story.
And that's why I just love this writing so much because I'm
Oh,
like,
me
I can't
too.
wait for more. And I can't wait for I'm sorry, I cannot roll type it up. The manager, lawyer,
Yes.
not the
Oh my god. No, I don't know
not this
why.
that
Oh
dog.
god.
His hate for that dog. I love it so much. And
Like
I just
that's a good character. A character who's got all these facets, but the stain for the dog.
yeah.
It
Uh,
was even cute. Like, how can like not liking like calling a dog a rodent be so attractive? I
right?
love those rodent dogs. I mean, and like her word of the day shirts, I loved that, and like how
Oh,
much he liked them, and she had her machine in her closet. She had her little machine that made her words.
huh? I loved that too. I loved all those little quirky stuff like between the two
Hmm.
so much. And I also loved the like progression of like him she made a comment about the ledger like, oh, that looks like my Victoria's ledger, and he's like, wait, what, like, like, oh, I didn't
Yeah.
realize that, and then him finally finding going to her dad and talking to him and being like, oh, and I didn't realize like how his dad
Hmm.
that's where his dad grew up, and so that's why
Yeah.
Gideon moved there is because they were good friends. Like you find out these things where you question like, is Gideon a good guy? And then you're like, no, he's an amazing guy. Victoria is the horrible person in this world. And then
Hmm.
I loved how like I kind of was mad at Gideon for drawing out the story. So it was just
Yeah.
I totally get it, but I was on Nash's side on that where he's like, come on, it's like do this already so I can be with my girl.
And
I
he was such
loved
a good guy, though, too, for respecting that. Because he's like, if she doesn't hear it from him, that'll ruin their relationship. So he was putting like that relationship above everything else. He really was, there was good intent. I don't think it was because of penance, but I think it was
it.
just good intentions. He
Yeah,
cared about her. But I like that. He definitely redeemed himself from
the
I
room.
don't even think he treated her that bad. Like, I mean, he just kind of picked on her a bit and was like,
He was pushing her away. It's just like
he
when
was,
they
yes.
slept together in that room and he realized when they both realized it,
Hmm.
I knew it was him. He enjoyed himself, obviously.
Yeah.
He's just pushing her away because he's like, this isn't okay. This is my brother's best friend. She's too young for me. Like, we cannot
Hmm.
go down this road. So he turned into an ass to get her to not,
Yeah.
have feelings or whatever to like to go. So, and I love how we find out that Reed knew all along.
Oh, yeah. I didn't see that coming. I was like, oh, I liked that. I
Because they were
liked that.
so afraid of him finding out that it was going to destroy everything, and he knew, and it was
He was
just
like, oh, yeah.
and Reed's a really interesting character, and I think that's why I'm really looking forward to his book because there's so many more levels. Because he was like the golden boy, but he had a lot. He has a chip on his shoulder, and he had a lot of
Hmm.
issues with his family and stuff. And I can see that. I can see because they kept him out of the loop on a lot of things, and I
Because
can
they were going to have him go down for Nash because Nash beat up the guy. So on one hand, it's like, oh, it's attractive. Like, oh, she thought that Reed did it for her, but it's really the brother. But on the other hand, it's like, oh, like I could see why that would hurt him
but
because his
even then,
family were
not
like, well,
telling him
you're a
about the
minor.
dad, you know,
Mhm.
and
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. That like yeah. Oh my, like Nash's standpoint is, oh, we were protecting him. He had it good. And he's like, his standpoint is like, why
you,
wouldn't you tell me my dad is sick?
yeah. Yeah, but then to find out
Hmm.
even Nash didn't know that the dad lost the trial because it wasn't working, not
Yeah.
because of everything else. So there
Their
was so
dad
many
really should have
layers
shared
to it
more.
where they're like, you didn't even know the full story and you thought you knew the full story. Yeah.
Hmm.
And then to like top it off for me
Hmm.
was the statue in the lobby.
Right.
And that plaque, I'm like, you put that on the placard.
It
But
was so
I
cute.
loved it. It was so amazing. And then I love how she's like, wait, when did this come out? When was the plaque made?
Hmm.
Like, and then to find out it was like before stuff even. Like it was just like early on and he's already saying like he loves her.
Hmm. I
It
know that was great. And it was a funny moment too, where he like where like she thinks he's getting arrested, and he punched the guy, and it's like he's like, no, I'm not going to jail.
right?
That was a cute scene. Well, and you did wonder, like, you're like, oh, is he going to have to go to jail because he did get detained at the airport? And well, he gave up that Singapore deal too, which I found was like because he wanted to be with her. There was, like you said, there's so many layers and so much that happens, and it's like
Mhm.
it really wins you over. And I will say though, the more that I think about it, the more I think if these parents had just like been more transparent with their kid. Well, I
Right.
guess she didn't want to hear from her dad though.
She didn't want to hear from her dad, but then she was stuck with her mom.
Yeah, who was not a good
I
person.
was kind of upset. Well, but then you find out why. Like at first I'm like, why didn't he take her away from that woman so long ago? But then you find out that it was because she wasn't his
Yes,
biologically. And so I'm like,
they
oh,
threatened
but
that. Yep.
it was one of those things, there was no holes where I'm like, it makes
No
sense.
holes.
Now it makes sense why he didn't, because I was so mad at him for letting Victoria be in her life.
Yeah. So no,
I'm just
I
like,
see.
it's
I
just
know it was nice. It was nice that everything fell together. It was just very. It's so nice to have such a well written book, like
long,
throughout. It
long,
was,
well written.
oh yes, nice and girthy. Like it took
Felt
its
so
time.
content. I loved the
Cool.
epilogue even was like
Mm-hmm.
perfect. Perfect.
It was. It was very them. I mean, you really fell in love with them as a couple. Their chemistry. It was definitely just so well done.
Mhm.
Such it's a very enjoyable read.
Yes.
Highly recommend.
Yes.
I mean,
I
everyone is listening, I would assume has read it as well.
yeah.
But if you
Some had,
haven't,
and I'll have to message them on Facebook in the group that commented on our Darlene Venom and said like, "Oh, you should read this book and it's angsty and it's great." And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to read it next." Yeah. Like that helped push me too, like to read it. And so it's just
mm-hmm.
ugh, so good. I can't wait for more. I know that we
Me too.
have coming out. What is that book? The co-write.
Oh
Dark
my
Romeo?
gosh,
Dark
Romeo, something not
We have a
Romano.
book coming
I
out from
just was
Parker and LJ Shin. Shin, is that how you say it? Sheen, Shin.
LJ Sheen. I don't. I always thought it was Sheen, but I could be wrong.
And then it
My
will.
Dark Romano, I believe it's
Oh, is
called
it Romeo? Oh, well, I like Romeo.
Romeo.
I'm
Maybe
such
it
an
is
old lady right
Romeo.
now. I'm making up names.
I think it is Romeo. I don't know.
I don't
Or
know.
it's like
I'll
Romeo,
look it
but
up.
like with more Italian.
Right? But I'm really excited for it. I'm really
Me
excited.
too.
And I'm
Me too.
excited for more in this world for sure. I can't. Reed's book, I'm dying for. But I
I'm
also,
here for
his lawyer
all
friend, not his assistant. I love that so much. How she's married to like the next enthroned of something too is so
of it.
exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm like, what is
that's gonna
this?
be
And then they're
interesting.
renegotiating their contract because it's their anniversary or something. He wants this and I want a kid. Like, it's just like, I love
That's a funny
that.
dynamic.
Yes.
I did too, and I think a lot of people kind of wished. I mean, well, it makes sense. She's a lawyer. I mean,
Yeah.
so that'll be, and that's the question. Will it be the romance with him? I think it will be. That's what I'm
I'm
thinking.
wondering if it will be like half and half, maybe how they ended up, because it was something about her being on a vacation on an island or something, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
back married or engaged. I wonder, I want to know how they got to where they are, and then I want to know more. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
like this will be the middle point, maybe.
Yes, that would be so cool.
Yeah,
We'll get glimpses of everybody else, I'm sure.
yeah. And that's the thing with Rita. You would think that's going to happen with Reed too. We're going to get how it all.
I love when that
Oh,
happens. Yeah, so
me
excited.
too. See, I'm here for anything that Parker writes. I really love the writing. So, yeah. Well, on that note,
No, all right. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll see you next time on the book over. Bye.